The obsidian halls of Prime had stood for 3 million years. The black walls absorbed all light and reflected nothing back. This was by design. The Council of Elders did not want visitors to see their own faces. They wanted them to see only the vast emptiness of space and feel small. 12 ancient species sat in the great chamber. Their representatives floated in pods of light arranged in a perfect circle. Some had bodies of crystal, others were clouds of living gas. A few looked almost like the creatures of old Earth myths, tall, thin, with eyes that had seen stars born and die. Elder Varix of the called the meeting to order. His body was made of purple crystal that pulsed with soft light when he spoke. He was 900,000 years old. By the standards of his people, he was still in his middle years. "We have gathered to discuss a matter of growing concern," Varix said. His voice did not come from a mouth. It came from everywhere at once. "A new species has risen in the outer regions of the Orion Arm. They call themselves humans." A holographic image appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a small blue planet covered in clouds and water. The planet was beautiful in a simple way. Nothing about it suggested danger. "They emerged from their world only 300 of their years ago," Varix continued. "In that time, they have spread to 47 planets. They have developed faster-than-light travel. They have built weapons that rival those of species 10 times their age." Elder of the Silken Web made a sound like wind through dry leaves. Her species communicated through vibrations. 300 years. That is impossible. We took 50,000 years to reach the stars. "The data is accurate," Varix replied. "I have it myself." The chamber fell silent. Every species present had taken thousands of years to achieve what humanity had done in mere centuries. This was not natural. This was not safe. Elder of the Empire leaned forward. His species looked almost reptilian, with green scales and yellow eyes. "What is their military strength?" "Unknown," Varix admitted. "They do not display their full capabilities. They fight among themselves constantly, yet they grow stronger after each conflict. They destroy and rebuild. They fall and rise again. We do not understand their pattern." The holographic display changed. It showed human history in rapid images: wars, plagues, disasters. And after each catastrophe, humans climbing from the ruins to build something new, something bigger, something more powerful. "They are chaos," Elder whispered, "pure chaos given form." "They are dangerous," Varix agreed. "And they are curious. They have already detected our observation probes. They know they are being watched. It is only a matter of time before they come looking for answers." Elder smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then we should meet them first. The Empire would be happy to bring them under proper guidance." "No." Varix's crystal body flashed red for a moment. "That is exactly what we must not do. Contact with humans must be forbidden. They are not ready. We are not ready for them." The debate lasted for 7 of their days. Some elders wanted to destroy humanity before they grew too strong. Others wanted to study them from afar. A few suggested making peaceful contact and teaching them the ways of galactic civilization. In the end, Varix's proposal won. Humanity would be quarantined. No species would make contact with them. No trade ships would enter their space. No communications would be sent or received. Earth and its colonies would be surrounded by an invisible wall of silence. "They will burn themselves out," Varix declared as the vote concluded. "All volatile species do. We have seen it 1,000 times. They rise fast, burn bright, and destroy themselves. In a few thousand years, we will return to find only ruins and dust." The decree went out to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity was off limits. Anyone who broke this rule would face the full punishment of the Council. The grumbled but obeyed. A peaceful species living under rule heard the news and felt sad. They had hoped the new species might be different. The Confederacy laughed and went back to their slave camps. The galaxy continued as it always had, and humanity was forgotten. But Commander Mitchell had not forgotten the galaxy. He stood on the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching the stars. Was 42 years old. He had gray in his hair and lines on his face. He had fought in 3 wars and lost friends in all of them. But he had never stopped looking up at the night sky and wondering what was out there. "The energy signatures have changed again," said Lieutenant Kelly Park, his second in command. She handed him a data pad. "The ships watching us have moved back, way back, almost to the edge of our sensor range." Studied the readings. For 5 years he had tracked the unknown vessels that lurked at the boundaries of human space. They never came close. They never made contact. They just watched. "They are afraid of us," said quietly. Kelly frowned. "Afraid? They have been in space for who knows how long. Their technology is probably centuries ahead of ours. Why would they be afraid?" Handed back the data pad. He looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, ancient civilizations had looked at humanity and decided they were too dangerous to approach. They had built walls around Earth and hoped humans would stay inside. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been underestimated his entire life. "Tell Command I want a meeting," he said. "Full council, every admiral, every general, every scientist we have." "What should I tell them it is about?" Kelly asked. Pointed at the distant stars where the alien ships hid in the darkness. "Tell them we are done being watched. Tell them it is time to introduce ourselves." Kelly nodded and left to send the message. Stayed at the window for a long time. He thought about all the walls humanity had faced throughout history. Walls of stone, walls of water, walls of fire and hate and fear. And every single time, humans had found a way through. Whatever barrier the galaxy had built around them, it would not hold forever. Nothing ever did. The Empire had never been good at following orders. They were warriors, conquerors. They had built their civilization on the bones of weaker species, and they did not like being told what they could not do. Ambassador stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched Earth grow larger in the. He was tall even for a, with dark green scales and eyes the color of molten gold. Behind him, 40 warships held formation. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "The elders forbid this," his second officer reminded him quietly. Made a sound deep in his throat. It was the equivalent of laughter. "The elders are old and tired. They hide in their dark halls and make rules for others to follow. But they do not enforce those rules. They never have." The fleet had crossed into human space 6 hours ago. No alarms had sounded. No weapons had fired. The humans did not even seem to know they were coming. "They are primitive," said with satisfaction. "Their sensors cannot even detect us at this range. This will be easy." He was wrong. Admiral Cole had detected the fleet 12 hours before it crossed the border. She had tracked their approach, analyzed their formation, and prepared her response. But she had not fired first. She wanted to see what they would do. Was 51 years old. She had short gray hair and calm brown eyes. She spoke softly and smiled often. People who did not know her sometimes thought she was kind and gentle. People who knew her understood that she was the most dangerous human alive. When the fleet entered orbit around Earth, was waiting for them. "Ambassador," she said through the communication channel. Her voice was pleasant, almost friendly. "Welcome to Earth. We have been expecting you." His golden eyes narrowed. "You knew we were coming." "Of course, your ships are very loud, all that engine noise," smiled. "Would you like to come down and talk? I make excellent coffee." The meeting took place in Geneva, in a building that had once housed the United Nations. Brought 20 guards. Brought none. She sat across from him at a wooden table and poured 2 cups of coffee. "Your species has grown quickly," began. "Too quickly. You need guidance, protection. The Empire is prepared to offer both." Took a sip of her coffee. "And what would you want in return?" Your technology, your weapons, your ships leaned forward, and your obedience. Set down her cup. She was still smiling, but something in her eyes had changed. No. No, scales darkened with anger. You do not understand your position, human. My fleet could burn your cities to ash in hours. Your fleet, said calmly, is currently surrounded by 342 defense platforms that your sensors cannot detect. Each platform carries enough weapons to destroy 5 of your ships. If you give the order to attack, Ambassador, you will die before the first shot reaches the ground. Stared at her, his guards shifted nervously. You are bluffing, he said. Picked up her coffee again. Try me. They did not attack Earth that day, returned to his ship and reported to his superiors. The Empire was furious. They had been humiliated. They had been threatened. This could not stand. 3 weeks later, they attacked 3 human colonies in the outer systems. They expected easy victories. They found Lieutenant Commander Santos waiting for them. Was 34 years old. He had grown up on Mars in the underground cities where the first human colonists had learned to survive. He knew what it meant to fight for every breath, every drop of water, every scrap of food. He had joined the military at 18 and had been fighting ever since. They came to the colony of New Haven with 15 warships. They expected farmers and miners. They found in his small fleet of 6 vessels hiding in the asteroid field nearby. They outnumber us 3 to 1, his pilot said. Standard tactics say we should retreat. Shook his head. Standard tactics are for species who have time to lose. We do not. He ordered his ships to scatter into the asteroids. They followed, confident in their superior numbers. That was their mistake. Had studied human history. He knew about the guerrilla fighters of Vietnam, the resistance movements of World War II, the ancient warriors who had defeated larger armies through speed and surprise. He adapted their tactics for space. His ship struck from hidden positions, fired quick bursts, and vanished before they could respond. They used the asteroids as shields, as weapons, as traps. They never stayed in one place for more than 30 seconds. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 11 ships were destroyed or disabled, had lost only 1. But the real victory came 2 weeks later, at the Battle of Station. They sent their flagship, the Pride of Conquest, with a fleet of 30 vessels. They were determined to crush human resistance once and for all. Sergeant Amy had other plans. Amy was 28 years old. She led a team of Marines who specialized in boarding operations. They trained for years to fight in zero gravity, in tight spaces, in complete darkness. They were the best of the best. Whilst fleet engaged in open combat, Amy and her team slipped through the chaos in a small shuttle. They docked with the Pride of Conquest through an airlock that engineers had considered too small for entry. They had never faced enemies who could fight hand to hand. Their wars were always conducted at a distance, ship to ship, weapon to weapon. They did not know what to do when Amy's Marines came through the corridors like ghosts, silent and deadly. The capture of the flagship took 43 minutes. Amy personally disabled the ship's commander with a single blow. When it was over, she stood on the bridge and sent a message to the remaining fleet. Your flagship now belongs to Earth. You can surrender or you can die, your choice. They surrendered. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. A species barely 300 years into had defeated one of the oldest warrior empires in known space. The elders watched from their obsidian halls and said nothing. But everyone knew what they were thinking. They had warned the galaxy about humanity. No one had listened. And now it was too late. The message came at 3 in the morning Earth Standard Time. It was weak, broken, barely more than static, but the words were clear enough. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help, they are killing us. Captain Cross played the message 3 times. Each time his jaw tightened a little more. He was 40 years old with dark skin and tired eyes. He had commanded the starship Relentless for 5 years. In that time he had seen many things, but he had never heard anything like this. "Where did it come from?" he asked. His communications officer, a young woman named Lisa Tran, pulled up the coordinates. Deep in space, a planet called It is the of the. Knew about the, everyone did. They were one of the oldest peaceful species in the galaxy. Artists, musicians, builders of beautiful things. They had never developed weapons because they had never needed them. For 600 years they had lived under the rule of the Confederacy. They were not kind rulers. "The message says they are being killed," said. "What does that mean?" Lisa's face was pale. "I did some research. The use as slave labor. They work them in mines and factories until they die. But recently they have been expanding their operations. They need more workers. And the population cannot keep up," finished. Lisa nodded. "They have started what they call culling. They kill the old, the sick, anyone who cannot work. They are processing millions." Stood very still. Through the window of his quarters he could see the stars. Somewhere out there, innocent people were dying. People who had reached out to humanity for help. "Get me Earth Command," he said. The debate in Earth Command lasted 3 days. Some wanted to help the immediately. Others pointed out that the elders had forbidden interference in galactic affairs. Humanity was already on dangerous ground after the war. Attacking them could unite the entire galaxy against them. Waited, he listened to politicians argue about strategy and risk. He watched generals debate acceptable losses, and on the 3rd day he made a decision. He did not wait for permission. "Set course for," he told his crew, "maximum speed." His pilot, Lisa Tran, looked up from her console. "Captain, we do not have authorization." "I know." His tactical officer stepped forward. "Sir, this could be considered treason. They could execute us." Looked at his crew. They were young. They had families back on Earth. They had everything to lose. "Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle back to the nearest station," he said. "No punishment, no judgment. This is my choice, not yours." No one moved. Chief Engineer broke the silence. He was the oldest member of the crew, with white hair and hands from decades of work. "My grandfather used to tell me stories about the old days, about times when people saw evil and did nothing. He made me promise I would never be one of those people." Walked to a station. "I am staying." One by one, every member of the crew returned to their positions. Lisa entered the coordinates, powered up the weapons. The Relentless jumped into faster-than-light travel, heading toward space. They arrived at 4 days later. What they found was worse than they had imagined. The planet's surface was covered in camps, row after row of gray buildings surrounded by electric fences. From orbit, they looked like scars on the land. Inside those fences, millions of waited to die. "I am reading massive life signs," reported. His voice was shaking. "But they are weak, scattered. Many of them are barely alive." Stared at there were tall, thin beings with silver skin and large, dark eyes. In the images from the surface, they looked like ghosts, hollow, broken. "How many ships?" he asked. 12 cruisers in orbit, ground forces unknown." Turned to his crew. "We are outnumbered. We have 1 ship against 12. We have no backup, no reinforcements, and no way out if this goes wrong." He paused. "But down there are people who sent a message into the dark, hoping someone would answer. Today, we are that answer." The attack began at dawn, local time. The Relentless dropped out of the sky like a falling star. Its weapons hit the first cruiser before they even knew humanity had arrived. 2 more ships fell in the opening seconds. The rest scrambled to respond, but had planned for that. "All shuttles launch," he ordered. "Begin evacuation." While the Relentless fought the fleet, 20 small shuttles descended to the surface. Marines poured out, led by soldiers who had trained for exactly this kind of mission. They hit the camps fast and hard. disabling fences and opening gates. Dr. Vance was on the first shuttle down. She was 36 years old with red hair and gentle hands. She had become a doctor because she wanted to heal people. Today, she would save as many as she could. The conditions in the camps were horrifying. Lay on bare ground, too weak to move. Children cried for parents who would never come back. The smell of death was everywhere. Did not hesitate. She set up a medical station in the middle of the largest camp and began treating patients. Her team worked beside her, moving from body to body, doing whatever they could. A young girl watched work. She was small, barely more than a child, with silver skin stretched tight over her bones. "Why?" the girl asked. Her voice was like wind through leaves. "Why did you come?" Looked up from her patient. Sweat ran down her face. Her hands were covered in blood. She had not slept in 2 days. "Because someone needed help," she said simply. The battle in orbit lasted 9 hours. The called for reinforcements. 60 cruisers jumped into the system, expecting to find one damaged human ship. They found Cross waiting for them. During the battle, 3 more human ships had arrived. Their captains had heard about its mission and had come without orders. They were not enough to win, but they were enough to hold the line. The fighting was brutal. 2 human ships were destroyed. Hundreds of soldiers died on the ground. But when they finally retreated, over 200,000 had been evacuated to safety. It was the largest rescue operation in galactic history. And it was only the beginning. The elders summoned humanity to answer for their crimes. They demanded explanations, apologies, submission. They would get none of these things. The obsidian halls of Prime had never felt so cold. Admiral Daniel Hayes stood in the center of the great chamber, surrounded by beings older than human civilization itself. Light from distant stars filtered through the black walls. It made the elders look like ghosts. Daniel was 53 years old. He had silver hair cut short and a face lined by years of difficult decisions. He wore his dress uniform, pressed and perfect. His medals caught the faint light. He stood straight, shoulders back, chin up. He was not afraid. Elder Varix floated forward in his pot of light. His crystal body pulsed with deep red, a color that meant anger among his people. "You were warned. Your species was told to remain in your system, to wait, to be patient." Daniel said nothing. "Instead," Varix continued, "you have waged war against the Empire. You have invaded territory. You have stolen their property and killed their soldiers. You have destabilized regions we spent millions of years pacifying." "Property?" Daniel spoke the word slowly, letting it hang in the air. "Is that what you call them?" The chamber went quiet. "They are under protection," Elder said. Her vibrating voice was softer than usual. "The arrangements between species are complex. You do not understand." "I understand perfectly," Daniel replied. "They enslave them. They work them to death. They kill the ones who cannot work, and you call this protection." Elder of the leaned forward. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. "You speak of things you cannot comprehend, human. The order of the galaxy was established long before your ancestors climbed down from the trees. Who are you to challenge it?" Daniel took a step forward. His boots made no sound on the obsidian floor. "I am a human. My people came from a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. We have been in space for 300 years. In that time, we have learned something that you seem to have forgotten." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each elder in turn. "We learned that power without justice is tyranny. We learned that peace without freedom is slavery. We learned that rules which protect the strong and crush the weak are not rules worth following." Varix's crystal form flashed bright red. "You dare to lecture us? We have maintained order across 10,000 star systems for 3 million years. We have prevented wars that would have destroyed entire civilizations. We have kept the peace." "You have kept your peace," Daniel said. "Not theirs, not the dying in camps, not the dozens of species living under occupation and oppression. You kept peace for yourselves, for the powerful, for the ones who already had everything, and you told yourselves it was enough. The chamber erupted. Voices and sounds overlapped as the elders shouted at each other and at Daniel. Some demanded his immediate execution. Others called for the destruction of Earth. The noise was deafening. Daniel waited. When the chaos finally died down, Varric spoke again. His voice was controlled, but barely. You think you can change the galaxy. You are infants playing with fire. You do not know what forces you are awakening. We know exactly what we are doing, Daniel said. We are doing what should have been done long ago. We are standing up for those who cannot stand for themselves. And you will fail. Varric's light dimmed slightly. Every young species thinks they are different. They think they can change the eternal order. They rise up, they fight, and they fall. It has happened 1,000 times. It will happen again. Daniel smiled. It was a small smile, calm and confident. Do you know what they told us when we first tried to fly? They said humans were not meant to leave the ground. Do you know what they told us when we tried to go to space? They said the void would kill us. Do you know what they told us when we tried to reach the stars? He paused. They said it was impossible. They said some things could not be changed. They said we should accept our limits and be content. Daniel looked up at Varric. We went anyway, we always do. For a long moment, no one spoke. The elders floated in their pods of light, ancient and powerful, yet somehow diminished by the single human standing before them. Elder broke the silence. What do you want? What does humanity actually want? Daniel had prepared for this question. He had thought about it for months. We want a seat at this table. We want a voice in how the galaxy is governed. We want the same rights and protections that every other species enjoys. And if we refuse, asked, then we will take them. Daniel's voice did not waver. Not through conquest, not through destruction, but through action. We will protect those who need protection. We will free those who need freedom. And we will do it whether you approve or not. Varric's crystal form shifted through several colors before settling on a deep, cold blue. Then you leave us no choice. The Council hereby declares humanity a rogue species. All civilizations are ordered to oppose them. All trade is forbidden. All contact is prohibited. He rose higher in his pod, looming over Daniel. You have chosen war, human. You will regret it. Daniel did not flinch. Maybe, but I doubt it. He turned and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Before he reached the door, he stopped and looked back. You know what the difference is between us? He asked. You have spent 3 million years maintaining the galaxy as it is. We have spent 300 years trying to make things better. That is why you are afraid of us. Not because of our ships or our weapons, because we still believe things can change. He walked out of the chamber and did not look back. The elders watched him go. They had existed for millions of years. They had seen species rise and fall like waves on a shore. They had never been challenged like this. Elder was the first to speak after Daniel left. He is right, you know, about all of it. Varric turned to her. That is not the point. Order must be maintained. If we allow one species to defy us, others will follow. The system will collapse. Perhaps, said, the system deserves to collapse. No one responded, but in the silence that followed, something had changed. A crack had appeared in the ancient foundation of the council, small, almost invisible. But cracks have a way of growing. Outside, Daniel boarded his shuttle. His hands were shaking slightly. He had just declared war on the entire galaxy. He had put every human life at risk. The weight of it pressed down on him like a physical force. But when he looked out the window at the stars, he felt something else too. Hope. Humanity had always been good at doing the impossible, and this time would be no different. It had to be. The war began 3 days after Daniel left Prime. 17 species answered the Elders' call to destroy humanity. Their combined fleets numbered in the thousands. Against them, Earth had fewer than 200 warships. General Christopher Blake studied the reports in his command center deep beneath the surface of Mars. He was 60 years old, with a bald head and eyes that had seen too much death. He had fought in every major conflict of the past 30 years. This one would be the last. "They are coming from all directions," his aide reported. "The from the east, the from the north, 6 other fleets from various positions. They will reach Earth in approximately 4 weeks." Christopher nodded slowly. "And our allies?" "They have sent engineers and technicians. They are helping with repairs and construction. The Free Youth have provided intelligence about Elder defenses." The aide paused. "And there are others." "Others?" "Ships from species we have never contacted. They saw what we did at. They heard Admiral Hayes speak at the council." The aide smiled slightly. "They want to help." Christopher looked at the tactical display. Red dots representing enemy fleets surrounded the blue dots of human space. It looked hopeless, but Christopher had learned long ago that hope had nothing to do with numbers. "Begin Operation Rising Tide," he ordered. The first battle took place at the edge of human space, near a small colony called Haven. Commander Torres led the defense with a fleet of 40 ships against 300 cruisers. Was 38 years old. She had brown hair streaked with gray and a scar on her left cheek from a battle 5 years ago. She never smiled before a fight. She was not smiling now. "All ships hold formation," she said calmly. "Wait for my signal." The fleet approached in perfect lines, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They had learned nothing from their previous defeat. They still believed that more ships meant certain victory. Waited until they were close, very close, then she gave the order. "Now!" The space around the fleet exploded. Mines that had been hidden in the asteroid field for weeks detonated simultaneously. The formation shattered. Ships collided with each other in the chaos. And then, fleet attacked. The battle lasted 8 hours. When it ended, they had lost over 200 ships, had lost 12. But the victory came at a cost. One of the ships lost was commanded by her brother. Did not cry. She could not afford to. There would be time for grief later. Now there was only the next battle. The war continued for 12 years. Humanity lost colonies, they lost ships, they lost millions of lives, but they never stopped fighting, and slowly, impossibly, they began to win. Other species joined their cause. They sent more than engineers now. Young who had grown up in the refugee camps volunteered to fight alongside humans. They had no warrior tradition, but they learned fast. The free grew in numbers as more of their youth rejected the elders' ways. They brought technology and knowledge that humans could never have developed on their own. Even some switched sides. Officers who had faced humans in battle and seen their courage, their honor, their refusal to abandon allies. They could not fight against such people anymore. The final assault on Prime began on a Tuesday, Earth time. Torres led a fleet of over 500 ships. They came from 32 different species, all flying alongside human vessels. The Elders' ancient defenses were powerful. Energy shields that had stood for millions of years. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets with a single blast. For the first 3 days, forces could not break through. Then Dr. Vance had an idea. Had spent the war years working in refugee camps and field hospitals. She had saved thousands of lives, but she had also studied. She had learned everything she could about the Elders, their technology, their history. "The defenses are powered by a central core," she told through a communication link. "If we can reach it, we can shut everything down." "How do we reach it?" asked. Smiled. It was the same gentle smile she had shown to the child in the camps all those years ago. "I think I know a way, but someone will have to go inside the station. On foot." Did not hesitate. "I will go myself." The infiltration team consisted of 20 soldiers from 6 different species. They entered Prime through an ancient maintenance shaft that had found in recovered archives. The defenses did not detect them because no one had used that entrance in over 1,000,000 years. Inside, the obsidian halls were empty. The elders had retreated to their council chamber, protected by the last of their guards, and her team moved through the darkness like ghosts. They reached the power core in the center of the station. It was a sphere of pure energy, pulsing with light older than human civilization. Place the device that engineers had built. It would not destroy the core. It would simply turn it off. "Do it," she said. The energy sphere flickered, then it went dark. Outside, the ancient defenses fell silent. The shields dropped. The weapons stopped firing. Walked into the council chamber with her team behind her. The elders floated in their pods, watching her approach. They looked smaller now, older, afraid. Elder Varric spoke first. His crystal form was dim, barely glowing. "You have one. What will you do now? Destroy us? Take our place as rulers of the galaxy?" Stopped in the center of the chamber. She looked around at the black walls, the ancient pods, the beings who had controlled the galaxy for 3,000,000 years. "No," she said. "We are not here to replace you. We are here to remind you why you built this council in the first place." She pulled out a small device and projected an image into the air. It showed the original charter of the Council of Elders, written 3,000,000 years ago. The words were faded but still readable. To protect the weak, to ensure justice, to give every species a voice. Read the words aloud. "You forgot, Elder. Somewhere along the way, you forgot what you were supposed to be." Varix was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, tired. "We did forget. We became so focused on maintaining order that we lost sight of why order mattered in the first place." He floated forward, closer too. "Perhaps it is time for the old to step aside. Perhaps the galaxy needs new voices." The Treaty of was signed 6 months later. The Council reformed with new principles: protection for the weak, justice for the oppressed, and a seat at the table for humanity. On the day the treaty was signed, Admiral Cole stood on the observation deck of Earth's new embassy station. The stars stretched out before her, filled with ships from 100 worlds. Beside her stood Dr. Vance, her red hair now streaked with gray. "They warned us we could not be stopped," said quietly. "They were right." Smiled. "No, they warned everyone else about us, and nobody listened." Laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in years. "What do you think happens now?" Looked out at the galaxy. Somewhere out there, species that had lived in fear for centuries were finally free. Children who had been born in slave camps would grow up knowing only freedom. The old order was gone, and something new was being built in its place. "Now," said, "now we get to find out what the galaxy looks like when everyone has a chance." They stood together in silence, watching the stars. The elders had warned the galaxy about humanity. No one had listened. And everything had changed.